When working with an accountant, you are trusting them to help you with your finances or helping to conduct a financial service for you. So you would be right in thinking that they are here to help, right? On the most part, yes. However, there have been cases where accountants have been complicit in the criminal act of money laundering and terrorist financing. In today's video, we will be taking a look at what is an accountant, what are their responsibilities, and what AML rules and regulations they must follow. Hello, and welcome to another KYC Lookup video where we bring you AML related content to help you enhance your knowledge in the fight against money laundering. Before diving into today's video, be sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on any future videos. Oh, and don't forget to leave us a comment with any suggested topics you would like us to cover in the future. We also have a special announcement to make, so be sure to watch until the end to find out what it is. So, on to today's video. What is an accountant? An accountant is a person who studies accounting and finance and applies the accounting or finance knowledge to serve their clients. An accounting firm is a group of people united to provide accounting or auditing services to their clients. Accountant or accountancy firms may provide these services alone or in collaboration with other independent firms. An accountant firm may consist of a sole practitioner or a few practitioners, or thousands of accountants spread throughout numerous offices around the globe. There are also alternative business structures in which accountants or accounting firms combine to provide specialised finance-related services. What is an accountant's responsibilities? A professionally qualified or experienced accountant provides services related to financial planning, testing of internal controls, audit of financial statements, financial projections, advice on mergers and takeovers, for example. The services provided by professional accountancy firms can be tailored to meet your needs, which includes basic day-to-day bookkeeping, tax services, auditing, management consulting, fraud investigations, and in most cases, they serve as an outsourced service to provide financial oversight of your business. How can money laundering happen within the accountancy sector? Due to the nature of services provided or offered, the accountants or accounting firm are more vulnerable to being exploited for money laundering and terrorist financing. Accountants and accounting firms engage in activities where they intend to get the desired outcome for their clients, considering the application of applicable legal requirements. Accounting firms or accountants take the fees from their clients against the accounting or financial services provided to the clients, including preparation of case documents, filing petitions, court hearings, court settlements, for example. The accountants and accountancy firms are required to apply a risk-based approach, RBA, to implement the AML requirements. RBA approach requires identification of money laundering and terrorist financing risks, while onboarding the client, and implement the AML controls to mitigate the identified risks to ensure AML compliance. As an accountant, you need to look out for money laundering and terrorist financing risks from your client. However, accountancy firms also need to look out for accountants who may bend or break the rules and regulations to benefit themselves. A case that was brought to light in the UK was of an accountant and two bankers jailed for stealing £390,000 from customers. Abu Bakr Salim has been jailed after defrauding elderly bank customers for more than £390,000 and laundering the cash through multiple fake accounts. Abu Bakr Salim and Taminder Verdi, who both worked at the same TSB branch in London in 2014, transferred funds of customers' accounts into 65 fraudulent beneficiary accounts they had opened. These accounts were controlled by accountant Baba Hussain. Officers from the National Crime Agency, NCA, were alerted to their activity when one of the 8 victims, all of whom were in their 70s, reported that £56,000 had been transferred out of their bank account without consent. That money was then deposited into 7 beneficiary accounts opened in different names. Hussain was arrested in July 2016, and officers recovered a number of fraudulently obtained genuine driving licence, which Verdi and Salim used along with fake gas and electricity bills to open up the beneficiary accounts. When he was interviewed, Hussain claimed that part of his work in the community involved opening and managing bank accounts for those arriving in the UK with no fixed address. Baba Hussain had messages stored on his mobile phone which identified other victims of fraud, where Verdi and Salim abused their position within the bank to access their accounts and transfer money into beneficiary accounts. Verdi was arrested in November 2016 and Salim in May 2017. At the time of Verdi's arrest, he had left TSB, having resigned following an internal investigation into his fraudulent activities, and was working for Santander. Investigations found that Verdi continued offending whilst employed at Santander. He was immediately suspended following his arrest, and Santander fully supported the NCA's investigation. Salim was also subject to an internal investigation at TSB and dismissed. Following the internal investigations, TSB reported the incidents to police and assisted the NCA fully with their investigation. All 3 were charged with fraud or abuse of position and money laundering. Hussain pleaded guilty to all 3 offences before the start of his trial on March 25, 2019, and was jailed for 5 years and 4 months. Verdi and Salim were found guilty on the 29th of April 2019 and were sentenced to 3 years and 6 months and 4 years respectively. Mike Hewlett, head of operations at the NCA's National Cyber Crime Unit, said, "Hussain is a professional money launderer who used his accountancy knowledge to steal hundreds of thousands of pounds from elderly banking customers. He was aided by 2 corrupt bank workers who abused their position of trust, using false documents to set up bank accounts to launder the hard-earned savings of their unsuspected victims. As soon as the first victim reported the theft, we used our specialist cyber capabilities to follow the money and establish the real-world identities of those criminals. All the customers who lost money were fully reimbursed by the banks." As you can see, not only is it important for accountants and their firms to look out for money laundering and terrorist financing risk from their customers, but accountancy firms also need to be vigilant in tackling money laundering and terrorist financing risks within their business from their own accountants. AML obligations imposed by regulators on accountants. Under the anti-money laundering regulations, the regulators ensure that accountants or accountancy firms are supervised by competent authorities to ensure that they comply with AML KYC requirements. Regulators assist accountants or accountancy firms in the design and implementation of a risk-based approach, RBA, to anti-money laundering and countering the terrorism financing, AML CFT, compliance by providing guidelines with a particular focus on providing guidance to accountancy firms. The accountants or accounting firms are required to ensure the design and implementation of appropriate AML KYC controls to ensure robust compliance and avoid onboarding criminals. AML KYC regulatory requirements requires accountants or accountancy firms to ensure that they develop compliance programs which should be robust and implemented at all levels to prevent the risk of occurrence of money laundering and terrorist financing. A good compliance program should include AML compliance policy and procedures. appointment of compliance officer to monitor AML activities, performance of money laundering and terrorist financing risk assessment, apply controls to mitigate money laundering and terrorist financing risks, and periodically monitor the money laundering and terrorist financing risk associated with clients. Here are some broader AML requirements that are to be complied with by accountants and accountancy firms. Appropriately assess the money laundering and terrorism financing risks that they face, including the likelihood and impact of those risks, and to identify and respond to changes in risk over time. Include in AML CFT programs appropriate risk-based systems and controls to mitigate and manage the money laundering and terrorist financing risks to which they are exposed. Establish an appropriate framework for board and senior management oversight of the AML CFT programs. Implement simplified and enhanced due diligence measure to carry out identification and verification of clients before onboarding and perform additional scrutiny on high-risk customers, including politically exposed persons, or PEPs. Implement a client monitoring process to monitor the intent of the relationship with the accountant firm and their activities to identify potential suspicious acts. And conduct ongoing client due diligence, especially of high-risk clients, to ensure that they continue to be fair clients and are not involved in money laundering and terrorist financing activities. Being vigilant not only protects your firm, but also the clients and customers you are safeguarding from the potential risk of money laundering and terrorist financing. Well, there you have it. What is an accountant? What are their responsibilities? And what AML rules and regulations they must follow. Please let us know in the comments section if you think that accountants are doing enough to tackle money laundering and terrorist financing, or if you think we can all do more. Now for the special announcement mentioned at the start of the video. We have now launched our very own courses for you to take a more in-depth look at a variety of subjects, such as Introduction to AML, Beneficial Ownership, and Customer Risk Rating, for example. So make sure you visit our website for further details, and let us help you connect the dots in KYC. Thank you for watching the video, and if you made it this far, don't forget to like and subscribe to watch more amazing videos.